Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something super practical, building a fully automated CI/CD pipeline for your serverless applications on AWS. We're talking from a single Git push all the way to a live deployment, hands-free.
All right, let's get right into it. If you're ready to say goodbye to those stressful manual deployments and you want to ship your code faster and way more reliably, then you are definitely in the right place. Okay, first things first, let's talk about something that's probably a major headache for a lot of you, the old school manual deployment. Why is this something we really need to fix? I mean, seriously, think about your current workflow. Is there that one person on your team, and hey, maybe that person is you, who has to stop what they're doing to run every build and handle every single deployment? You know how frustrating that can be.
And all these pains are just dominoes falling. It's not just that it's slow. It's that manual steps are inconsistent. And that's where bugs creep in. Having a dedicated build person creates a huge bottleneck, and the whole thing just adds a ton of stress that makes you hesitant to release updates.
But don't worry, there is a much better way, and that solution is continuous integration and continuous delivery, or as we all call it, CI/CD. This is where we let automation be our hero. And look, this is so much more than just a convenience. A solid CI/CD pipeline really changes the game. It automates everything, which means your developers can actually develop. You'll catch bugs way earlier, get updates to your users faster, and just lower the collective blood pressure of the entire team. All right, so to build this software factory of ours, what are we going to use? Well, let's meet the three core components from the AWS world that will make this all happen. First on our list is the AWS Serverless Application Model, or SAM. The easiest way to think about SAM is as the blueprint for your entire application. It's a simple YAML file where you define everything, your Lambda functions, your APIs, all of it as code. Okay, so if SAM is the blueprint, then AWS Code Pipeline is the engine that runs the whole assembly line. It's the orchestrator that automatically takes your code through the build, test, and deploy stages every single time you make a change. And last but not least, we have the buildspec.yaml file. This is basically the instruction manual for the build process. It's a simple file that lives with your code and tells AWS Code Build exactly what commands to run to get your app packaged up and ready to go. Okay, so we've got our blueprint, our engine, and our instruction manual. Now let's watch them in action. We'll trace a simple Hello World app as it goes from a developer's machine into the cloud all automatically. It really is like a simple three-step dance. Step 1, a developer pushes some code to GitHub. Step 2, Code Pipeline sees that change and immediately kicks off the process. And Step 3, Code Build jumps in, reads that buildspec.yml file, and uses SAM to package and deploy the whole thing. Simple as that. And this is the magic right here. The key is that once you've set this up, the whole thing is completely hands-off. Every single commit, every single time, automatically triggers a safe and consistent deployment. And what do you get at the end? The moment that pipeline goes green, your new function is live. You can pop open a tool like Postman, hit that API endpoint, and see your change in the wild. That's instant feedback, and it feels great. All right, but let's be real. Things don't always go perfectly, right? It's not always green check marks and successful deployments. So what happens when that beautiful pipeline turns red? Yep. Eventually, you're gonna see this, the big, scary build failed message. But honestly, don't panic. This is a totally normal part of the process. The real skill is knowing how to figure out what went wrong. And when you dig into those logs, you'll probably find some error message that looks, well, pretty scary, just like this one. But I'll let you in on a little secret. 9 times out of 10, a pipeline error like this in AWS points to one thing: permissions. And fixing it is usually a pretty straightforward process. First, you spot the error in the logs. Then you go find the specific IAM service role that CodeBuild is using. After that, you just give that role the permissions it's asking for, like the ability to talk to CloudFormation. And then you just go back to Code Pipeline and hit retry. Okay, so our pipeline's back up and running. Awesome. Now, let's kind of pull back and look at the bigger picture. The AWS tools are great, but there's a whole world of CI/CD tools out there. Now, don't get me wrong, Code Pipeline is fantastic, especially if your team lives and breathes AWS. But there's another major player on the scene that's gaining a ton of traction, mainly because it lives right where your code does: GitHub Actions.
And when you compare them, it really boils down to one key thing: developer experience. With Code Pipeline, you're often setting up complex infrastructure as code and jumping into the AWS console to see what's happening. GitHub Actions, on the other hand, puts everything, your code, your pipeline config, your logs, all in one place, right there in the GitHub UI. It just reduces that friction. And hey, it's not just Code Pipeline versus GitHub Actions. The landscape is huge. And the really great thing is that AWS SAM knows this. It can actually generate starter pipeline configs for other popular systems like Jenkins, GitLab, or Bitbucket. So you can use these same principles no matter what tool your team prefers.
So if there's one thing you walk away with today, it's this. Automating your serverless deployment isn't just a nice idea or a best practice. It is absolutely essential for building and shipping modern software efficiently and without all the stress.
And really, getting your deployment automated is just step one on a much bigger journey. Once that's handled, you start thinking, what else can I automate? Automated testing, security scans? The possibilities are endless. So I'll leave you with that question. What will you automate next? Thanks for watching.